This is News Today. Cocoa loading boys at Apoa in the Western region have called off their strike action. They had been on strike demanding an increase in the amount paid to them per bag of cocoa beans they carry. Benjamin Peters is Joynews' correspondent. He's joining me over the telephone. Hello, Benjamin.
Hello, Kemini.
What more can you tell us?
Yeah, yesterday a delegation from the Ghana Cocoa Board came to the region and paid a call on the striking load boys as well as the drivers themselves. And out of these several meetings organized, they resolved to, lift up their daily wage from 10 pesos to 30 pesos, which is about 50% increment, and also promised to provide other incentives, including transportation to and fro, as well as to provide them with potable water and pay their NHIS as well as their SNIPS contribution. So as a result, the loading boys agreed to these terms and they have started work in earnest as I speak to you.
I see. They want NHIS paid and SNIT contributions also paid from the amount of money they make from carrying the cocoa beans.
Yeah.
And I understand this is 20 pesos per bag.
Yeah, they have now increased it to 30 pesos.
30 pesos per bag?
Per bag, yeah.
And so the cocoa buying company is willing to make all of these payments on their behalf?
This is the instruction that was given them by the Cocoa Board, and according to the PRO, the cocoa buying agent have adhered to that and has promised to do that.
I see. Thank you very much, Benjamin. Benjamin Peters joined us from the Western region. We have barely broken ground in year 2014. The general elections to elect a president and parliamentarians is not until December 2016, more than 2.5 years away. But political parties already seem to have swung into campaign mood. Mausi Nudeko Awiti has launched her bid to become the national women's organizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party. Marion Ture engaged her on the sidelines of the event held at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center in Accra.
At this particular moment, it is Otiko Jaba who is women's organizer, and she's a very, very strong woman. So we want to find out, what are you bringing on board? What is different from Otiko?
Okay. Otiko is good. She's done what she could do. But I'm bringing another thing. I'm adding another tool. I am a small business development expert and a development worker. I'm already in the women's rights advocacy work. I am a trainer. I am looking at that this time about we should add the economic empowerment of women to the normal advocacy that we do. Most of the time, what we do is that we go out there and talk to people, advocate and say that they should vote for MPP. But then, what is it that is tangible that people would feel? I would build the capacity of our women organizers and train them to become trainers, so that when they go to their various constituency, they also train other people.
In comparison to Otiko Jaba, I should say Mahosi is relatively unknown. Doesn't that bother you?
It doesn't bother me at all. Mahosi is not unknown because I've been in the party for quite some time, and especially those in the rural areas know me a lot because I've been doing trainings a lot for women in the rural areas. I've contested before as a parliamentary candidate in my constituency. I went for the primaries, and then in 2008 I was a member of the national campaign team. Even if I were not in any of these, it is the message and what I can do that will make it work. Because Otiko too came, she was not known. Nobody even really knew her, but she was able to make it. I've mounted an exhibition for people to see the various things that I'll bring on board, so they become like my ambassadors in other constituencies.
Okay, we have had women contesting for women's organizers. That's, it's a no-brainer because you're a woman, and obviously you will be the one who organizes the women. When would we see women contesting for the national organizer, for the, let's say, chairmanship roles in the party?
Hey, pretty soon. I'm starting from somewhere. I have been advocating that women should take up these kind of leadership positions. And because I've been advocating, I say, for how long can we just keep on encouraging women to go? We ourselves, we the advocates, must also taste it. Maybe the next time I may contest as the organizer, and one day, inshallah, maybe I may contest as the national chairman. But I don't see the sky is the limit because there's more space ahead.
Thank you so much, madam, and we wish you all the
Founding member of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, urged party delegates to choose candidates who are ready to work with the grassroots supporters. This, he said, is the surest way the party can wrestle power from the ruling NDC. He made a call when he endorsed the candidature of Michael Kwabena Ampong, who is gunning for the position of National Youth Organizer of the party.
Michael works with full soldiers, and I'm proud to say that. But I've seen them with him. With full soldiers in the trenches, and has their respect. He's not one of the monetized party youth who profilate the political spectrum in Ghana these days and are more interested in lavish lifestyles and populist rhetoric.
Dr. Tamaklo also urged the delegates to shun candidates who use money to buy their way into office and vote for those who place Ghana first.
Monies from dubious sources to buy the loyalty of supporters. This is not a sustainable tradition. If you come into politics with the idea of making money, you will never make it.
Michael Ampong, who is currently the party's Greater Accra Regional Director of Communications, promised to work to bring the NPP back to power.
It is not just enough to be shouting the NDC government is not doing well. How do you translate the trust Ghanaians have for you into power? For any political party to get power, the segment of the electorate that you must attract yourself to, and they must win your confidence and get involved, is the youth. If the MPP comes to power now, 2016, it will be beneficial to us, the young men of this party.
Former Attorney General and Chairman of the Constitutional Committee of the NPP, Aikwe Otu, also solicited support for Michael Ampong, who is considered a workaholic.
What he is capable of doing, stressing on grassroots approach and not writing in V8s and appearing on the radio programs only, but you need to be with the people.
The national elections of the NPP is scheduled for March 1.
The asphalting of key roads running through Ashonman in the East District of the Greater Accra region appears to have brought more discomfort than joy to residents, especially patients attending the community hospital. According to them, the newly constructed road, which is without road markings, has become a racetrack with motorists driving at top speed without due regard for pedestrians and other road users.
The Ashorman Road, since it was started in November 2012, has become a major route connecting the suburb to neighboring communities as well as to the city center. Before it was started, vehicular movement was considerably slow as it was extremely bumpy and dusty. The residents, however, say the smoothening of the road has made them vulnerable to pedestrian accidents from speeding vehicles. Believe the absence of these road signs and markings has given motorists the free rein to drive anyhow. They also cite the lack of bus stops and pedestrian crossings as another challenge.
It's a free kunyina bus of Bienia Castle, they say in Crawford so about area. Intine, yes, Rabbi, so bit me about a bus stop Korawa. Okay, any Bejimwa.
Rebecca Darko, a pregnant woman, has to regularly endure what patients like her go through to access services at the Ashorman Community Hospital.
When you want to cross the road, it's very difficult because the drivers speed a lot. In fact, I can't cross it. I always ask someone to get what I want to get across the street from me. It's very difficult. I think maybe they have to do a speed ramp or something, because it's very bad. The rate at which they speed is very bad.
The hospital is said to serve more than 300 patients each day, with a significant number of them forced to endure the dangerous crossing. Not even efforts by the traffic wardens of the hospital to aid clients has helped. So not only patients who patronize the services of this hospital are at risk of losing their lives, residents and students who also use the road complain about the high-speeding vehicles on this stretch of the road. School children and the aged also face great danger if they have to cross the road to the hospital or go to school.
Stress first now, yes, I say no. Na per se, but from the time I hear ni ama drivers no, omo take a wo twa mu ayembu say we nipa. Wo ba, wo see a wo betwa mu omo ngina. Wo pa na chance no a brush off be.
Officials at the hospital say they have written several letters to the Urban Roads Department of the Ga East Municipal Assembly to address the situation, but all their efforts have proved futile. Especially on our clinic days, which are Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have mothers coming for child welfare, that is weighing, and they are crossing with their babies, tractor drivers parking right in front of the hospital, and we have written several times and nothing has been done about it. So we want the government and the appropriate authorities to please come and attend to the situation for us. Even though there have been a few reports of accidents on the stretch, it is feared the situation, if not immediately contained, could prove fatal in the near future. The director of urban roads at Abokobi, Francis Tosu, in a telephone interview acknowledged receipt of the hospital's letter complaining about the situation and assured something will be done about it. He added the construction of speed ramps and bus stops on the Ashoman Road is part of the Assembly's priority project in 2014 budget, but indicated the contract was yet to be awarded for work to start. And so until that happens, residents here are at the mercy of these speeding motorists. Yafosia Jimfi, Joy News.
The government of Ghana is holding a meeting to review state of the economy over the years. Josh Riafe is with Joy Business and he's here with me in the studio. We'll try and understand what this is. Right, George, so tell us about this economic management forum.
Well, as a group that actually advises government on the state of the economy and what are some of the practical decisions that they have to take to help improve the economy. Now, what we understand that the meeting is going on right now is brought together some senior presidential advisors. We have the ministers of state, especially when it comes to the economy. Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, all the governors of the Bank of Ghana, the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ghana Statistical Service, actually, they are meeting right now. What has been the state of the economy over the past few weeks when it comes to revenue mobilization, job creation as well? So these are some of the topical issues that are currently ongoing on. Now, the Energy Minister, Emmanuel, is also expected to brief the team as to what is the state of our energy stocks, or we call the petroleum stocks. Recently, there was some supplies on the market, and do we have enough strategic stocks to meet the demand, as well as, you know, the what do you call it, the current the Millennium Compact that we signed. We know we've qualified for the second compact. Now, how far has the country come in drawing down the funds for the project? So all these things are currently going on. The most important thing is that what will be the outcome, especially when it comes to revenue mobilization. Last year, we didn't do much, or we didn't do well in getting necessary revenue to grow the economy. So do we have to do some rejigging? All these things are going to be discussed at the meeting. In the next 1 hour or 2 hours, they will be finishing the meeting, and we'll all be waiting for the outcome as to what the team will put together and forward it to the president.
What's been the achievement of previous meetings?
Well, it's more of taking certain strategic decisions. So these are those who matter, or call them the managers of the economy, we need to do a review of what has happened. Looking at the way things are going, do we need to revise our notes? You know, some taxes have been introduced and there have been complaints. Now, if indeed these taxes are not going to work, maybe it's time for us to view these taxes. So basically, it's more of an advisory role. And if you have all those who matter in managing the economy, maybe the time has come for us to review some policies as well. They're also talking about the single spine salary structure and going forward, how should it be implemented? At Hold, there was a decision that let's take some 12 state institutions off government subvention. Should we still go ahead with this plan? The wage bill, how should we go about it? So the decisions that will take care at the end of the day, or take over there, would at the end of the day affect the economy and you and I as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, George. George, we are faced with Joy Business, and he joined us to discuss the economic management meeting, which is currently under. We will bring you more on this in subsequent broadcasts. Let's move on to some other stories. The Ashanti Regional Directorate of the Ghana Health Service in December 2013 appealed to President John Dramani Mahama to urge the National Health Insurance Authority to, as a matter of urgency, suspend the health insurance capitation being implemented in the Ashanti region. The Directorate described the implementation of the capitation system in the region for a year after its piloting in 2012 as unfair, discriminatory, and designed to undermine the quality of healthcare delivery in the region because it had not been extended to other regions across the country. And today, the Ministry of Health has been meeting the National Health Insurance Authority over the issue. My colleague Yafusu Ajemfi is there for us. She's joined us over the telephone. Hello, Ya.
Hello, Kemini.
What's unfolded at this meeting?
Okay, Kemini, the NHIA has raised some concerns or has revealed some challenges that the scheme is going through currently, especially according to the boss, the chief executive is saying that they're having challenges with the demand and supply. And then with the general issues, they mentioned that some providers, as in some of the challenges, some providers use some of their subscribers who are in good standing to collect claims. And then through their investigations, it also was revealed that some subscribers also visit 2 or more hospitals at the same time. So it's like more of these health facilities are sharing data. So let's say if this particular hospital has a subscriber rate of about 50, then another facility will pick up the original one and then also increase or inflate the numbers of their claims. And also looking at their clinical audit in 2010, it came out that the Ashanti was the worst affected. Their rate from 19% went to about 30% so far. These are some of the issues that has been raised by the chief executive of the NHIA. And then a subcommittee was also set up to look at the program documents as well as guide for the implementation of the general rollout of this capitation, which is another form of payment in the NHIA. And the chairperson for that committee, Dr. Irene Japon, highlighted the need for the health sector to check the systematic problem, as in the delays in the payment to its providers. So the stakeholders meeting is ongoing, and providers and stakeholders are raising issues, and as and when we get these information, we'll just get you updated.
But what has been said as to when we're going to have the countrywide implementation of...
Okay, Kemini, the Ministry of Health, the Minister, Sherry Aite, has indicated that they are also still going to pilot it in some selected regions, as in 2 or 3 more, to give it a more firm standing and then to improve upon the plan, to have a roadmap before they intend rolling it out nationwide. But as it stands now, there are going to be 2 or 3 regions being added to the Ashanti region.
Do we know these regions?
Not yet out, but by the end of this meet, have it out, and then we'll get it communicated to you.
Thank you very much, Yaya. Yafusu Ajemfi joined us from the venue of the National Health Insurance's National Health Forum. We move on to some other stories, or better still, we'll take a break. When I return, we'll do some more. Welcome back to News Today. Transport operators in Kumasi say they will have no other option than to wait for the orders of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union to either increase fares as a result of the increase in petroleum product prices or maintain the current fares. They are, however, worried the frequent increment is the cause of the recurrent confrontation between commuters and drivers. Here's a report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The shoot-up in fuel prices took effect on Thursday by between 6 and 19% in line with the fortnight review by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. In the Kumasi metropolis, transport operators, even though are aware of the augmentation, maintained the present fare, awaiting instructions from their highest regulatory body, GPRTU.
Increments there, just a ban at the bar, and I am paying for and the bomb for my intimate sound moon biasa. The only sound for my name, I top it to the ane high idea. Like the Hianas and Cabana, the Basse beer, that to Tiaso, the Cacassi, at 12 over 4 years old. It's almost Fuka so bar. Nayaso, you know, Moka, and Quay Simbi baby.
You're too petrol, you're too cascam, you're too petrol, so you're antiques castle. And this is a bass out to petrol, you don't feel as out to cascam. There was a tissue, your tissue, I think, also your tomb. But not the anti-tissue, you're in a year. You're trying to say you're only the price, no, everybody. Yes, you're full of woman.
Meanwhile, Joynews gathered some fuel stations in some parts of the metropolis experienced fuel shortage last week, but the situation normalized right after the price increased. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report.
Traders at the Malamata market say they will rather use their monies to buy goods and keep the rest for the expenses. According to them, apart from the frustrations they would have to encounter with the banks, there is nothing else to save. Matilda Nyakwada is so small.
Ghana's drive to mobilize deposits from the unbanked population and encourage a culture of savings has been fraught with serious challenges. These include competition from microfinance firms, savings and loans companies, as well as credit unions. But it appears the unbanked population is not bothered by the growth of these firms. The traders say they prefer to remain unbanked because there's really nothing to save.
Oh, say I'm tired into the Betobia, Nadia Coto, Abishim. The Betobia, Nadia Coto, now the Abishim. I guess Ubidi.
These microfinances are collapsing because there are no sales. If you have the goods and you can't sell, everything goes down. Well, it's my own money. So long as I can have enough to pay my rent, take care of myself, then it's fine. But if I'm not selling, how do I live?
Auntie Joyce, a cloth seller, used to save with the bank. She closed her account because of what she describes as unnecessary bureaucracy.
Because of this voter's ID card, it was very difficult for me to claim my money. So I have to go to the credit union for them to assist me. So they have to go to the bank, claim in their name before they refunded the money to me. They told me they cannot refund the money for me because the picture on the card and the name was different. And I asked them whether they cannot do anything about it. They said no.
On the contrary, Maria Pia, also a trader, has been saving with the Ghana Commercial Bank for the past 20 years. But she concedes she would rather save her money where she can experience more flexibility.
If you say, who save your banga, who profits are benyano, crabby. And I'm ribbing so do ya, Miss Mkoto, treasure bill. I will also me who got Tremia. Me per se, I made the treasure bill in the back, no. Almost aunties, it can't be free, so made you one man tears.
All four women have saved with various banks in their years as traders, but they say they are yet to experience banking tailored to suit them.
A total of 4,549,305 shares traded so far in the week on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The sales value amounts to 7,823,643.48 Ghana cedis. What does this mean? I have with me David Odoi Dankwa. He is with the Gold Coast Fund Management to try and help us understand that. What does that mean, all of that?
That is what I just want to take our viewers through. As you said, a total of an amount moved were traded for the Ghana Stock Exchange. And when we say this number traded, then it means the number of shares that traded on the stock exchange. And as we are looking from what happened from Monday up to trade close of yesterday, that is Thursday. So, and somebody will say then, what do I have to do with the number of shares that trades on the exchange? Yes, the number of shares, all things being equal, the number of shares has a positive relationship with the market returns, because the higher the returns, or when the shares moves up, or the number of traded shares moves up, then all things being equal, you see market returns also going up to some extent, and meaning investors are going to yield. But when the market activity is very slow and shares are not being exchanged, then you find liquidity being a problem, and hence you will not see the market yielding. So as we've seen, looking previously from last week coming down, you can see the number of shares keeps on increasing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So 2014, you can just conclude that, or you can just say 2014 can be a promising year. There are some other factors that affect it. Let's also talk about when we talk about, we've been talking about market indices. What are market indices? We are doing this so when we are talking about the terms, our viewers will really understand the figures that we are putting up to them, or the figures that we are showing on the screens. They will be able to understand. When we talk about market indices or market index, we are talking about a measure that tracks the performance of the stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And when it comes to the Ghana stock, when you go to other market, how do we say, if you go to other exchanges, they have their own market indices that they've been using to track the market performance. But when you come to Ghana on the Accra Bears or the Ghana Stock Exchange, we have the composite index, which tracks the main performance of the stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange. That it measures the average performance of all stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So when we talk about the composite index, and anytime we say the composite index is going up, then meaning the market is what yielding. And when we say the composite index is going down, then it means the market is also going down. And this is it's a measure that starts from some years back. But we have another measure that measures what we call the year to date, that tracks the performance of the stocks in that particular year. And that will give, and it's as a result of the indices or the index level that gives us the year to date. So then when we are talking about a year to date of this, then it means from the beginning of the year up to a particular time, that is the amount of money, or that is the amount of returns the stocks has been able to yield to investors. And we also look at the financial stocks index, the FI. Normally, we will see it being labeled FI, and that is the index that is the index that tracks the performance of the financial stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So when we talk about the FI or the financial stock index, then basically we are talking about how the financial stocks on the market is performing. And somebody might ask, why? But when you come to the Ghana Stock Exchange, you will see one industry that is very functional and active on the exchange, and that is the financial industry. I mean, you have a lot of listed equities that falls into the financial industry, and they are actively trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And we might talk about movers and gainers and losers. Let me just sum it up. When we talk about movers, basically we are talking about the stocks that were able to move their prices, whether increase or decrease within a particular period. So we might talk about movers for the day, then it means stocks that were able to add up or decrease their prices within that day. We might talk for movers for the year, and that will be stocks that has been able to add up or decrease their prices as at the beginning of the year. So movers is what? Relative. It can be within a day, it can be within a month, it can be within a week. So normally when we come here and we are talking about movers, we normally talk about the daily movement of the stocks, and this will let you know whether your stocks are doing well. And when we come to the movers, we have the gainers and we have the losers. When we talk about gainers, they are the stocks that are adding up to their prices. So maybe within a particular day.
They're adding up to the price of a stock.
Well, okay, let me just.
Or they're adding up to the price. What price are we talking about?
They are adding up to their own price. Maybe fan milk is trade closed trade yesterday at maybe 5 point something. Then today we come, and at the end of the day, investors or the brokers bid fan milk maybe a peswa higher. So now fan milk is trading maybe at 5.01 Ghana cedis on the exchange. So then we will say fan milk had moved its price and is among the movers. And this time around, we are saying gainers. And when we talk about the opposite, that is the losers, stocks that were not able to maintain or sustain their price on the exchange within a particular period. So then those are the losers. And when your stocks are losing, then it means you are also losing.
I see.
You are losing some money on it.
Monday to Thursday, what was the activity? Was it good?
The activity on the exchange has been good, though we experienced a bit of volatility within the week. But I would say the activity, because looking at the volume traded on the market, you can see the market is liquid and the market is gradually growing, because you can see it's building on its strength. I mean, as you earlier on said, about 4,549,305 shares have traded as at Monday to a close of trade yesterday, as compared to last week of around 2 million. So you can see the market is gradually building up, and with sales value of about 7,823,643.48. So you can see that the market is actually active.
In real money, that is the amount of money.
In real money, that is the amount of money that has been exchanged on the stock market from Monday to that is good. That is good. And also looking at the year-to-date returns. I mean, as I said, the market indices, the composite index as at yesterday was 1.54% year-to-date. I mean, it's not that bad, you know. It went up a bit to about 2%, then it dropped again to 1.54%, and so we can say 1.82% rather, 1.82% rather as at yesterday. So then looking at it, you can see the market is doing well. And what I talked about, the financial stocks, they've already taken the lead with a year-to-date of 3.27% on the Ghana Stock Exchange. There is one funny thing that is happening on the market. You know, the market is yielding, but the depreciation of the cedi is gradually taking the returns on the market. On the market,
the weight of your from the value is taken away because of the depreciation.
Yes, because you know, some people, we have foreigners investing on the Ghana Stock Exchange, and we have them coming in with dollars, but they will change it to cedis and invest on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So they want to track their money in terms of dollars. So we have an index by Goko Security that tracks the performance of the exchange in dollars, and we as of now we have a year-to-date depreciation of about -1.08%. So meaning if somebody is having dollars on the market, notwithstanding the average returns that the person had made in Ghana cedis, when you are turning the money into cedis, the person as a date is having a shortfall of about 1.08%. And normally when investors, especially the foreigners, sees this on the market, then it looks alarming. So they are just hesitating bringing their money onto the exchange. But I think if we are able to stabilize our cedi and some other macros in the economy, we will see the cedi yielding.
Right. Thank you very much, David. You heard from David Odoidankwa. He is with the Gold Coast Fund Management. Let's move on to some other stories. Chief Executive Director of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito, has slammed telecom companies in Ghana for failing to inform subscribers before going ahead with their increase in tariffs. Tariffs of telecom service providers in Ghana have been adjusted upwards. In case you didn't know, that's why their customers scrambling over poor services.
I don't think consumers are very much crazy or angry about increases, but it's when the scale is not balanced. Looking at what is going on in Ghana, everything is being increased. Everybody's increasing. Okay, even government is increasing. So if the telcos also sees that everybody is increasing, I think they are right to also do so. I had to call one of the networks yesterday that this is what I'm being asked. Is it but you see, we like to do things in secrecy in Ghana. You have your consumers. If for nothing, send a bulk text. Starting 17th January, we will go up from 8 pesos per minute to 10 pesos. Simple. This is not something that should be that difficult. Then they will tell, oh, but we had an ad in the newspaper. I hardly read the newspapers lately. Okay, where some of you young people will go on the net and look at, but even the net is not even cheap anymore. So where am I going to get the information? I have a contract with you. I have a handset. You can, if you can send me unsolicited information. I don't see why you cannot send me this good information that you are coming to ask me to pay more for us to say that, okay, fine, if I'm paying more, A, B, C, D should stop.
Let's do some foreign business. The politically divided U.S. Congress has funded the federal government for the remainder of the fiscal year, avoiding another potential government shutdown and restoring some sense of budgetary normalcy to Washington. The Senate passed the so-called Omnibus Spending Bill 72-26 after the House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved the measure Wednesday. The $1.1 trillion spending bill will fund the U.S. government through September. It eases automatic across-the-board spending cuts for domestic and defense programs, raises the pay of civilian federal workers for the first time in 4 years, and protects the benefits of military veterans. IBM, the global computing giant, has said it is investing more than $1.2 billion, about 735 million pounds, expanding its data centers and cloud storage business. It plans to build 15 new centers across the world, bringing the total number up to 40 during 2014. IBM bought cloud services company Sublayer for $2 billion last year, and this investment will double the subsidiary's storage capacity. IBM believes the cloud services markets could be worth $200 billion by 2020. We offer business second best on the continent, according to the January edition of the Coca-Cola FIFA rankings released this afternoon. There was no movement in the top 25 countries in the world. However, Egypt climbed 10 places to sit 31st in the world.
Ghana has started off the year at 24th, the same position it finished the previous year in the first edition of the 2014 FIFA ranking released today. There was no movement whatsoever in the top 25 as the Black Stars managed to gain 2 points to increase the accumulated point tally of 851. However, movement is to be expected in the February edition of the FIFA ranking, which would take into account all results from the 16-team CAF African Nations Championship, which is underway in South Africa. The tournament is exclusive to players based in their home countries. The Black Stars are still Africa's second-best side behind Ivory Coast, Algeria and now Egypt, who leapfrogged Nigeria, follow Ghana in that order on the continental ranking table. Only 18 friendlies have been included since December's edition, 5 of which took place in 2013, with the remaining 13 in the first half of January 2014. World champions Spain are still number 1, as Germany remain in second, with Argentina in third.
Missed any of the CHAN matches? Or let's take a trip to South Africa and get some highlights.
Ian Goro's side looked to take control of the game early on and nearly took the lead in the 20th minute. They again should have done better with a headed effort, this time Ali Sadiki failing to find the target at all. Simba's Tole then tested out Benjamin Ochan in the Ugandan goal just before half-time, but again Zimbabwe were denied 0-0 at the break. It continued to be all Zimbabwe, but once again they flattered to deceive, with Tole wasting a glorious opportunity. With Uganda failing to trouble the Zimbabwean goal, they tried some other tactics, but failed in their efforts. Despite both teams' efforts, it ended 0-0 in Cape Town as Zimbabwe drew their second game of the tournament.
Burkina Faso see them crash out of the African Nations Championship. They lost to Uganda in their opener, while their opponents Morocco played out to a goalless draw with Zimbabwe. The match certainly started well, with Morocco going on the offensive early and being rewarded for their efforts.
Opening goal inside a minute from Brahim El Baghri. Two waiting at the back post. Anybody had the opportunity to put this ball away.
Buoyed by the goal, Morocco continued to press for another. They created a number of chances and dominated the first half an hour of play. However, as the match began to wear on, Burkina Faso became more of a threat. It was Morocco, though, that finished the half strongest. They should have done much better in first half stoppage time, but despite their weak finishing, still took a 1-0 lead into the break. They were almost made to rue the many misses as Burkina Faso came close to erasing the deficit just after the restart. Having started the same way Morocco did in the first half, Burkina Faso were also guilty of losing focus in the latter stages. Morocco almost made them pay, but squandered another opportunity to put the game beyond the reach of their opponents. That would come back to haunt them just over 2 minutes from time as the Stallions snatched an equaliser.
And there's the equaliser they absolutely, desperately desired. It's finally come. Basiru Ouedraogo, perhaps with a goal that might save Burkina Faso.
Neither side was able to break the deadlock, the match ending 1-1 as both teams remain in the hunt for a place in the knockout stage of the competition.
And Ghana will play Libya later today. That'll be all for sports. Ilbert Ibrahim is an international news analyst. He's joined us over the telephone. We'll talk about South Sudan for a while. Hello, Ilbert.
Hello, Kimani. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to talk to you again. Ilbert, are we losing a hang on the situation in South Sudan?
I think the Ugandan president, Yoweri Museveni, has gotten militarily involved in what is happening in South Sudan. I think Uganda's incursion into the country will only complicate an already intricate problem, if you like. There is a stalemate on the battlefield right now because neither side is winning decisively. But, Kemeni, for how long can the international community continue to dilly-dally as the streets of South Sudan are strewn with the corpses of innocent civilians caught up in the crossfire? I think the Ugandan president's bold step can have either one of two diametrically opposite consequences. Briefly, the first one, which is hoped for, is breaking the military deadlock and forcing a retreat by Riek Machar's combatants, in which case we will have the opportunity to talk peace and then have a lasting solution to the problem. And the second dreaded outcome will be the scuttling of the current peace talks that are taking place in Addis, and a possible attack on Ugandan soil by Riek Machar's fighters, which would invariably graduate the conflict into a regional one with no respect for territorial integrity. And so, Kemeni, the cost of taking an action now could prove as costly as doing nothing about it and being in a state of inertia.
Why doesn't it seem we can't reach a deal?
I think I've said it over and over again. Both factions feel they are winning, and therefore they have assumed entrenched position. And I don't really understand why President Salva Kiir is not budging on the subject of releasing 11 political detainees. That is one precondition Riek Machar has given, that before he lays down his weapons, Riek Machar should free those 11 people who have been accused of the treasonable crime of trying to torpedo the government in South Sudan. And therefore, there can only be a military solution to the problem, Kemeni. So it's good, maybe perhaps Uganda as an East African country would want to also come into the conflict. We wait to see. The next few days or so will determine whether Uganda's involvement, military involvement, will change the permutations on the ground. But that's notwithstanding. I think at the end of the day, the indelible marks of any war are quite difficult to efface. And therefore, even as we use the military approach in solving the problem, there should be a political angle to it as well. So the talks in Addis Ababa should continue.
Thank you very much, Ilbert Ibrahim is an international news analyst. Let's move on to some other stories. The French gossip magazine Closer has published claims President François Hollande has been having a secret romance with actress Juliette Gage for 2 years. The magazine also printed more photographs of the couple together. Ms. Gates has announced she is suing Closer for breach of privacy. Hollande's official partner, Valerie Trula, remains in hospital where she was admitted after learning of the alleged affair a week ago. Turbulent romance in its latest revelations. Closer said the French president used a second apartment in the west of Paris to meet the 41-year-old actress. It is claimed the pair snatched weekends together in the south of France and that Hollande made excuses to avoid a holiday in Greece last year with Miss Trewila, so he could travel instead to his Corrèze constituency with the actress. That'll be all. Let's get into some showbiz as well. The annual Vodafone Music Awards has been launched at the Alisa Hotel in Accra, with many press and organizers in attendance. The launch was used to disclose plans for this year's edition of the VGMAs, which will be the 15th.
The Alisa Hotel Thursday night witnessed the launch of the 15th edition of the annual Ghana Music Awards. Organizers of the annual event used the launch to unveil their targets for this year's awards ceremony. Niaite Hammond is head of production.
Over the years, what we do is to, once the work of the board is done, there is a general launch of the nominees, etc. But this year, we thought it wise to have a press launch of the whole process as the process is beginning, because basically the board has just started their work, which was yesterday. So we decided to have a press launch where we can introduce to the press what we're looking forward to 2014 in terms of the VGMAs. And there haven't been any major changes beyond the fact that the nominees jam, as we said, is going to happen in Tamale. And unlike previously where we just moved to the city and have the jam, this is going to be a road trip, you know, to match the theme of the awards this year, which is music everywhere. So we're going to have a road trip where there will be stops in various cities and markets where we're going to have performances by some of the nominees along the line till we get to Tamale.
The organizers have, however, warned that songs with explicit sexual lyrics will not be nominated.
Our main news, those are: cocoa loading boys in the Western region call off their strike after over a week of protests to demand increase in loading fees. Executive Director of Consumer Protection Agency slams telecom companies in Ghana for failing to inform subscribers before going ahead with increase in tariff. That'll be all for the hour. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Thanks for watching. There's more news on MindYourOnline.com. Enjoy the rest of our program and have you a good weekend.